By the time we had a chat with him, he could not put a tap to why he decided to kill. But what he does is that his targets are ladies of the night. Horror killings, haunted houses, strangulations, and serial killing are features found in some Hollywood movies. Never in our imagination did we think we would witness such dreadful crimes committed in Nigeria. Welcome to Crime Fighters, the Police and UK's File, year 2020 in review. In this episode, we'll be discussing how the police unmasked one of the worst cases of serial killing in Nigeria. The young man in this case went berserk and began to unleash terror, murder, and fears in his path. With me to discuss this case are Dr. Afolabi Aroye, a psychologist from Faculty of Social Sciences, Department of Sociology, University of Lagos. We also have in the studio Mrs. Amina Atairu, a talk show host and a media marketing professional. We also have a Nollywood actress and a media personality, Mrs. Lillian Ama Aluko, the MD CEO of New Dawn Productions Limited. Thanks for joining us.
The future of this country belongs to the youth. Therefore, you should bring yourselves together and work towards nation building rather than engaging yourselves into crime and criminalities that wouldn't pay. Do not allow yourself to be involved in cultism. Do not allow yourself to be used by any politician or group of people that will make you go into crime for their own benefit. Make sure that you engage in activities that will be useful to yourselves and then will lead to nation building.
We'll start with the story of a serial killer. It's actually a case that one should learn a thing from. A young man, I don't know whether it's is it psychopathic or what do you call it?
The same thing with us, social.
He just takes delight, pleasure in killing women.
I killed a girl at Rumola. I killed a girl at GRA. I killed a girl at Transamadi. I killed a girl at Obibo. Then a girl at town. Then there was one at market area. Market. Then I killed a girl at Omoko. I killed a girl at Bayasa. I killed a girl at Sapele. I killed a girl at Ibadan. Aba. Then there's another one at Bini.
Anytime he pick a girlfriend to his room, when he realized that she's asleep, he wake up. He will put the volume of the television in the room to be very high, so that even if that lady screams, nobody will hear the noise from outside. Remove her bag, remove her ATM card, and whatever money he has and jewelries inside that bag, he will remove them. And he say he has only a very sharp knife that he moves with. Then he will tap the woman. She will wake up. By the time she wakes up, he will see him holding a very sharp knife pointing at her. So he will use that knife, remove the pillow casing, tear it into pieces, and tie the woman from the back. Tie her hands, the two hands from the back, and tie her. Then he will tie the two legs, join them together and tie them. Then for that moment, he used his hand and strangulate her from the throat.
By the time we had a chat with him, he could not put a tap to why he decided to kill. But what he does is that his targets are ladies of the night. He goes with them, woo them, talk to them, and then brings them to a hotel room. And then he would strangle them to death. No scuffle, no fights, and he never left any trace. So he was like a spirit. As far as the society was concerned, the police itself became very confused.
We never experienced this serial killing in the history of the Nigeria police, where a serial killer is going around killing women, only women. The same modus operandi in hotels, not outside hotels, because he has confessed to us that he has never killed anybody outside hotel, and he has never killed anybody apart from these hotels he's using.
And he was doing this in succession. He kills in the morning in a particular area, in a state. In this time, he started from Port Harcourt. And then he moves to another area again in the same state, kill again. So within the space of 3 days, he had killed 8 girls. It was new to us as far as I am concerned. I've been in this business for a while, but never have I heard of a Nigerian getting involved in what we used to see in foreign countries. I want to start with you.
I remember following up that story too when, it went viral, across social media and traditional news. And when we were analyzing it, I was saying that it could be, let me use the word, a case of revenge for maybe something that has happened when he was a child. Because I remember watching a particular docuseries where a similar issue happened.
But not in Nigeria.
Not in Nigeria, I think in Mexico or something. So it was documented in the movie. And in that case, it was more of a child whom the father left at a very tender age. And the mother actually blamed it on a prostitute that the father was carrying. And that child was scarred, of course, with the kind of information that he kept hearing, either from neighbors saying that your father keeps moving with the prostitute, that's like this, He grew up, being scarred and just felt that, okay, these are the people I'll be. Let me try to get rid of them. And then they start to actually build that urge to want to get rid of these people because they see them as bad news, as people that are not supposed to exist because of personal experience. And so sometimes they take it upon themselves to say, I want to change the ill. Like we're saying, let's change the society. Let's weed the bad, out, the bad eggs out. Let's do this, let's do that. He could also be that child who understands that once I get to this age, I'm going to start doing this once I'm strong enough. And so some people actually start, with that kind of character. Some even start to actually see some signs, from, what I actually, previewed. That some people just they can chain rats, maybe a rat that ate their food, they can just chain the rats and start to dice them in beats and stuff. I don't know what they call it in psychology, but I know that you start seeing them breeding that, displaying that tendency of a child, you catch a bird and then you poke the eyes and then you keep it for a period of time. Sometimes they say children like that is something they're actually building themselves for the main thing that they want to do when they grow up. So I see it as, something that had happened in his childhood and he didn't get the best guidance or counsel to help him, how would I put it? To purge him off, what he has been fed while he was growing up. That's what I actually see.
Do you align your thought with this analogy?
The possibility there, but I also look at the influence of television. Some of our children are so engrossed and entranced by what they see on television. They believe those things and then they begin to put it into practice. If you watch children, they watch this this wrestling thing, they finish, the next thing, they are trying some of those dangerous moves. Children are very impressionable, so people should be careful what they permit their children to watch. When I heard the story of that serial killer, the first thing that occurred to me is this guy has been into a lot of crime fiction and he's decided to play it out. Obviously, there would be some psychological problems in there because if he was a well-adjusted, normal human being, he wouldn't go to try out those things.
So let's come to the psychologist.
Thank you. I would look at it from different perspectives. Number one, is that we have a professional copycat in our hand. And that's what the two of them were referring to. Or we have somebody who is having emotional issues. Personality is also implicated there. In the olden times, they would say he's having psychopathic personality, but all those is subsumed under antisocial personality now, because it's only someone who have such kind that do not have that conscience, like an antisocial person, that can look at someone and stab the person and kill today, move on tomorrow and all that. So it's either we're dealing with the issue of personality disorders. Two, we also may be dealing with the issue of seizure disorders.
Seizure
disorders.
Did you say seizure?
Seizure disorders.
How does that play
Disorder
out?
is something like complex partial, which is not showing physically. He has seizure within, but why he's having the seizure? You look at him, he's still opening his eyes. He's saying some things. After, when the whole thing is off, you see him, he can wheel on himself and jack back. Ask him everything that happened in that state. He can't remember. There was a seizure going on as at that time. It might be if it's an issue of seizure disorder, in the process of doing that, if he was in seizure state, he may not remember what he did. And all those things he did, he may not even know he did them. It might also be issue of what has been in his unconscious state from the beginning, like a child who grows up in an environment, probably sees the influence of that. Psychoanalytic theory will tell us that unconscious state, it has the tendency to affect his behavior now, drive his behavior now. Even whenever you ask him why is he doing it, he may not understand why, but just realize that his decisions are affected by something that I can't remember. He needs to, for such, they will say they should psychoanalyze him to help him understand what the issues are. Yeah? But I am not so sure that is where this is coming from. What I think basically with this person is that it's more likely to be that of an antisocial personality person. Another possibility, he may be having paranoid personality. Like I told you, there are 10 personality disorders. Cluster 1 is paranoid personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, and schizotypal. For paranoid personality disorder, they are the people that they have issues with trust. They don't trust anybody. They are suspecting everybody. If two of you are talking, they believe you are talking about them. So suspiciousness and lack of trust is the bane of paranoid personality disorder. The other one, the schizoid personality disorder, they are cold, they are cold, they are aloof, they are detached. They didn't want to have any interaction with anybody.
What would lead him into killing in succession?
That's why I want to. That's where I'm going. I'm just trying to explain the cluster where I am now to understand what is in that cluster. I've explained the earlier cluster I picked. This cluster now, you have paranoid personality there. You have schizoid. Those are the people that don't want to interact with everybody. They are just there. And they don't feel it. They enjoy being alone. Those are the people that are good researchers. They will stay in their lab and be doing their research. They are okay with their life. They may not even marry. They are just enjoying their life. The other one is the schizotypal. Those people, they are already getting to the point of not being lucid again. They are having magical thinking and a lot of things. Their thoughts is not being coherent again. They might be having some thought issues and all that. That is schizotypal. However, the reason why I said it might be paranoid personality issue. Paranoid personality, they are suspicious. They are suspecting everybody. And if his paranoia is directed towards prostitutes, you cannot predict what he will do with those prostitutes. You cannot. So, and I'm not there, so to say this is. So it's possible. You can see this may be, so he may be having paranoid personality disorder. But if it's paranoid personality, when you are talking to him, he will tell you they are all doing this to me. they are doing this, they are doing it. We find a reason to tell
He
you.
actually gave reasons.
Hell.
He just took pleasure in.
How can you just take pleasure in killing a prostitute just like that?
Taking pleasure in killing prostitute, that word is loaded. It depends. If a professional move closer to him, they will be able to get much far.
It's whenever it calls upon me. It's not every day I'm traveling to do what I want to do. Sometimes if I travel, I'll stay on the hotel 2-3 days on my own. Or if I'm with a woman, if there's nothing within me, the girl will leave her, will pay her money and she will go. It's whenever it's on my force upon me. That's when I will strangle up a woman to kill. My different mood of myself as a person will change. So if I see you, I don't see you as anything that moment. I don't see you as something. That's how it, when it comes upon me, that's how it does. Until when I've done what I want to do, and I will start regretting, start crying. Why have I done this? That's how it comes upon me. If I want to judge, I should be killed. With what I have done, I don't deserve to be alive.
Taking pleasure in killing prostitute is still in the cluster of antisocial.
Because what he did was,
It's
it
not-
wasn't like a ritualist that will kill and spill blood and then, soak the blood with white towel or this. There was no scuffle, nothing. He just strangles them with either the pillow or tie their neck with rope
If
and then
it's likely
leaves
to
them
be
to
a typical
suffocate to
He's
death
enjoying-
and then moves to the next person, moves to the next person.
He's likely to be a typical antisocial person who takes pleasure in seeing them when they are struggling.
Yes,
When
exactly.
they are struggling and all this, he enjoys
He peeps-
that
he peeps
thrills
and
him.
watch them struggle. And when he sees that they are losing their breath, he shuts the door and then leaves.
Yeah, it's likely to be an antisocial person. And that's why I said that particular cluster is a cluster that we should watch out for in every home.
Members of the public, there is no limit to information, to knowledge. Keep watching the programs of Crime Fighters. A lot of things will learn there, so a lot of information that you need to use and to avoid criminal activities you learn from Crime Fighters. Let it be your program that you create time to watch. So those time you spend watching foreign news, devote that time to watching Crime Fighters. You learn what is domestic, and wherever you are going on the street anywhere, you know how to be more security conscious. With Crime Fighters, you gain a lot and you protect yourself more than you can do. Keep watching Crime Fighters. Police and you, we are partners in crime fighting.
In these cases that we talked about, particularly in this serial killing, when these suspects are arrested, the law do not give the benefits of a psychologist to come in to assess and then maybe prefer a solution or give reasons why such crimes are committed. But these persons are charged to court and remanded in prison custody. In fact, this guy has actually been convicted, as it were. What is the lesson here?
Number one, we cannot exonerate them because they committed the crime. But the question now is that whether they committed the crime as a result of mental illness or
he committed the crime.
whether he committed the crime as a result of mental illness or mental illness made them to commit the crime. They are two different things, and that is for the court to settle. Maybe at the time of the incident, he was not mentally stable. That's one thing. Or as at the time he was arrested and attending to your interrogation, he is not mentally stable at that time. So which means that if he's mentally well when he committed the crime, he's guilty. You understand? But if as at the time that he's committing the crime, he's not mentally stable.
Yeah, but as at the time that is charged to court, of course, I'm sure they would have gone through a series of medical
evaluation.
Unfortunately, personality disorder is not a plea. It's not. It's not a plea. Because when you are looking at mental illness generally, there are some mental illness that need hospitalization. Like you are having schizophrenia, having depression and all that. When you are chronically sick with affective disorder or psychotic disorder, you can take a plea Because somebody that is having a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia hears what others are not hearing, sees what others are not seeing, taste and feel what others are not seeing, and has a delusion. Delusions are fixed and false belief that an individual hold on to, that is not in keeping with his level of education, culture, and it's not with the level of exposure. But despite opposing view, he still held on to it. That is a delusion. Why hallucination is receiving false, receiving false information from any of the five senses. Right? That's presence of percent in the absence of corresponding stimulus. So you now start hearing what others are not hearing. You start seeing what others are not seeing, tasting what others are not tasting, feeling what others, and that's common when you see some of them that will say, it's like something is moving around my body. I can't seem to understand, but or somebody shouting, inside there is pepper, inside this peppering here, you taste and you cannot. So that experiences, somatic experiences that can affect somebody that is really sick. For those that are having psychotic disorders, generally, they are disorder that may need to be hospitalized. Affective disorder, if it's chronic, they have to be hospitalized. But personality disorder is not a disorder that you have to be hospitalized to manage. Just like sexual disorder or communication disorder or any other disorder, personality is one of those disorders that you cannot admit them to treat them.
So
it's not a plea.
So invariably, it cannot be used as...
I don't think it can be used as...
It's on this note we say thank you to our panelists. I'd like to thank Mrs. Lillian Ama Aluko for your time and for your thoughts. I hope people will learn one or two lessons from your contribution. I'll come back to Dr. Afolabi Aroye. Your thoughts are actually weighty for those people in the crime world. I think they would understand themselves better if they watch and listen to this program. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
And Amina, now go over there. Thank you. God bless you. This is Crime Fighters, the Police and You Case File. I remain yours sincerely, Aisha Tosan Agberebi. Thank you.
Our advice is that members of the public should have absolute trust in the police. We should actually see the police as our friend. When there are information that borders on security or lack of it, we must report, promptly to the nearest police station. And we must have confidence in the police. We don't have any other thing that can safeguard our interests as far as security is concerned. So every member of the public should take it as a personal responsibility to report whatever becomes untoward at any level to the nearest policeman, so that at the end of the day, everybody can go home and sleep soundly with our two eyes closed.
As part of the IG's mandate for its officers, he urges officers to stay healthy to secure a healthy nation. You're watching Crime Fighters, the police and you. Keep watching.
These are some of the pilots we have in the Nigeria Police Force Air Wing that are keeping the country safe and making the Nigeria Police proud. Crime Fighters, the police and you.